Hey, I'm CJ, and welcome to my workshop. Today we're going to be exploring computing with your feet, and specifically the Footy foot pedal I designed to use speech-to-text applications with my computer. This came out of me having a broken right ring finger and having a cast on my right arm here, and it became very hard to type. So immediately I started exploring some options for how I can use speech to text in my daily workflows for writing code and stuff like this. Initially, a lot of that exploration was done with a macro pad here, so I could just press a button on the macro pad and have it work. One of the things with the cast was it's kind of hard to accurately press the keys because it was pretty awkward, and I still wanted to keep my left hand on the keyboard so I can kind of manipulate stuff there. So I thought about, let's make a foot pedal, and sure enough, that's how Footy came to be. And I did a bit of research online, and I found that Adafruit had a reasonably good foot pedal design already out there based on a foot pedal I believe they actually sell. So I took that and modified it. I first used a Zhao RP2040 microcontroller to build this foot pedal. And eventually I switched to a Keeb.io Stampy microcontroller, mainly to simplify the overall build process of the Footy. So taking a look at it, it's just a very simple foot pedal. You press down on it, and as you're holding, the speech-to-text application should fire the whole time. And when you release, it releases. So that's pretty much it. It's USB-C, so you can just plug it directly into your computer that way. And on the inside, it's quite simple. It's just the microcontroller with a Cherry MX switch. And you can kind of just press fit the 3D printed case directly together on the back here, especially. And that's it. That's your Footy. So I'll show you how to build this, and yeah, let's get into the build. We'll start off with 3D printing the case, and that's simple enough. You just download the files that I have available in the description, and you can print them on your 3D printer. If you don't have a 3D printer, let me know via email, and I'm happy to print the case for you and send it to you for a reasonable fee. Now let's get into the assembly. Once you've 3D printed the Footy, optionally you can put in threaded inserts into the base of the Footy. To clean it up a little bit, it's actually not necessary. I'll show you real quickly, is I have a Stampy here, and if I put that in, it seats in pretty nicely, and like it doesn't really fall out. I just think that it's nicer to have things like fully secured, so I will pop that out. And I already have my soldering iron heated up with the M3 threaded insert. These are M3 by 4 millimeters, which is what this is designed for. And I'm just gonna seat them in there. I've only done this a handful of times, so I'm certainly no expert. I'm gonna start with this red one, and we'll just try to seat it. I think it looks pretty good. I grabbed a couple. These are M3 by 6 millimeters, so I'll take it. And you kind of just slot it in slightly downward so it catches the USB-C. Fits in there pretty nicely. Before you screw anything down, make sure you flash the firmware on your Stampy. I'm just showing you as a demonstration here how you can screw things in. I don't love touching the PCB with a metal screw. Plastic screws or something else might be better. Moving on, let's solder the Stampy and Cherry MX switch together. So one thing to note with the Stampy is the switch, well, two things. One is that there's only 3 holes. So if you have a Cherry MX switch, which is has 5, and there's usually 2 little plastic legs that come up here, you will either have to clip those legs or get a switch that just has 3 legs. But it does not go in from the top, and you can certainly try to force it. It's like at this diagonal angle, and you can kind of force the pins in there if you really want to. But do not do that. I did that, and it was totally wrong. You just insert it from the bottom. That's exactly what I assume you're supposed to do. So that's what you do, and then we'll solder that side. What we're going to do is we're going to put this in the third hand, and we'll place this
so that the pins stick out. I'm also not amazing at soldering, so you'll see me try to do this.
It's not straight, but it totally should be functional enough. And before we screw it in, what we want to do is flash the firmware if you haven't already. I find it easier to flash the firmware while you have the switch soldered so you can actually test it and make sure it works before you actually go ahead and put it in here into a more final position, screw it down, and make it nice. So we'll go ahead and take this, flash the firmware, and put it in. We're gonna flash the firmware on our Stampy here and turn it into a footy. And I have it plugged into my Mac using USB-C, and we're gonna go ahead and flash the firmware. The easiest way to do this is download one of the firmware files from my website, workshop website, and what you'll do is you'll double click the button on the back of the Stampy, and this should show up in the Mac here. And what we'll do, all we have to do is drag and drop the firmware file, and it will flash the firmware on this device. So the firmware should become active, and we should be able to give it a try. The first time you do this, it will ask you to set up a keyboard in macOS. I've already done this, so it should just work. And so I'm gonna click it. This is a demo of me using Footy with Handy. And sure enough, it pops up there. Let's demo it also with Super Whisper. So I'll reflash the firmware, I'll double click that again. It should pop up here in a second. I will drag and drop the file, it'll reboot. And soon enough, this is a demo of me using Footy with Super Whisper. And sure enough, it works there as well. The Super Whisper thing actually popped up on my other screen. But sure enough, that's how you flash the firmware for Footy. And it kind of just works. So what I'll do now is I'll just take the case and I'll put Stampy in there and I will click it together. And if I plug it in, this is me using the Footy with the case. And it works. So there you go. This is a working Footy. There's one finishing touch that I'd recommend making to your Footy, and that's to take some of these little like rubber or silicone feet and add them to the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is you can just take these off directly on the sheet itself. You can get these from Amazon or wherever, and there's actually little pads that are built for these already, and you can kind of just slot these feet directly in there. It should stick. And basically this is just to make it so the Footy doesn't slip quite as much on the ground as it might do without the feet. So, and there you go. There's the Footy. So that's how you put together a Footy. And if you don't want to put one together, you can try to win one too. I have two of them that were used for the shooting of this video that I'm giving away to people who post in the comments that they like feet. And I encourage anyone to try speech to text generally, whether it be through a foot pedal or using an application like Super Whisper or my upcoming application Handy. Handy is going to be an open source version of a speech to text application where hopefully anyone will have a nice base to build on top of if they want to write something more complex or add some functionality to it. And my motivation behind this was from breaking my finger, and I kind of needed some functions that were not as part of a bunch of the applications that are already out there, so I ended up writing my own. And that started from a Python script and is evolving into a desktop application. So I'll hopefully have that out in the next month or so, and I'll have a video showing it off as well as something that you can download and try for yourself. And yeah, just be on the lookout for that. And thank you so much for coming here today and watching. And I hope you build something cool.